blast off. Hello everybody, welcome to the Fight Planet Kickstarter campaign finale party. I'm your host, Todd, Dungeon Boy Burnham, and I've got Jim here on the line, also known as Draken. We've got a little over an hour left on our Kickstarter, and a little bit of an uphill battle, but that's all right. We had a lot of fun. We learned a lot of things, and we're going to be, what would you say, boogieing down for the last hour?
Yes, Dungeon Boy Burnham. Yep, this is Draken. we're gonna be talking about how Fight Planet came into being. We're gonna talk about some of the gameplay, and we're also gonna be telling you about Spiel Nights and a bunch of other fun things that we're planning moving forward in the future.
Absolutely. Okay, now I just need to
verify. You have to notify the Twitter universe that we're live, right?
We've got to notify the Twitter. We've got to notify our Facebook group.
Yep.
And, of course, our people, our backers already on.
That's right.
Kickstarter.
An impressive number of backers. So really.
Yeah. So
it's really great, and we're really glad that you did pledge.
Yeah, we really do appreciate everybody who has joined us on this weird project. I want to make sure, I want to verify that we are streaming and not talking to ourselves.
Of course.
So that's what I'm attempting to do now.
Yeah, and I'll also jump on the YouTube.
Okay. Verify. Yeah, if you want to go to the YouTube Spiel Nights page,
yep.
And
it says it's live. Live now, but it's designing a city for D&D.
That is clearly not what we're doing, but
D&D. That is. Great! And we're on. And is there? I do see Todd.
Hello.
Okay. I do see Todd.
Do you have permissions at this time to edit the stuff, the title and all that?
The YouTube?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can go try and do it. But it does work, and you are live, and it's looking good.
Okay.
I will.
Here. Actually, I just hit edit, and it's letting me do it. Let me see if it lets us do it live. The end. All right, so you guys get to hear me thinking out loud. Or, Jim, you can go ahead and impress people for a moment.
Okay. Yeah, great. Well, essentially, it's there's one watching right now. So I guess that one person who is watching. Thank you. We're just getting some technical things set up. So essentially, we're Spiel Nights. We're Todd and Jim, going by Dungeon Boy Burnham and Draken, and we've wanted to do role-playing games and board games and just fun games, and we've wanted to do a company for a long time, and now we're just like we've got families and girlfriends and all these life obligations, but we decided what, we're gonna go and do this. We're gonna do something that's fun and something that we've always wanted to do. And we've been at it. We officially became a company on January 1st of this year, but we've been working at this for at least the last 6 or 7 months.
Absolutely.
Todd, have you changed the thing?
Okay, so I have just hit save. If you punch the refresh on there, it will, fingers crossed.
Fight Planet, the ZineQuest Kickstarter campaign.
Okay.
It's live now. I will click on to verify. Oh yeah, we're definitely live.
Okay. And now, do you see the chat log there?
Okay. Sorry, I'm reloading it again, and then I'll just mute my own audio.
Oh, mute it. Oh, mute it on the YouTube so that you can still hear me
That,
at the pace that we're talking about?
yep, doing great. Chat has been disabled for this live stream.
Oh, that's bananas. Let's see.
Ah, good job. Good job on holding back on the swearing. 'Cause it is for the kids.
That is true. That is true. Okay, so let me see if I can find. Yeah, YouTube likes to update things, which is great, but it is also difficult because you have to keep on top of things.
I see.
Okay. And I don't know
Well,
where the chat is. Comments are disabled for this video. Oh, that's probably because I clicked that it's kids. You've selected to disable comments, or comments on the video have been disabled by YouTube to protect minors, or your channel's audience is set for kids. Okay, so that is what it is, and it's not that it's particularly made for kids, but it is clean, I guess, is
that's right.
a way to put it.
Well, you can either re-enable it or not. Doesn't matter either way.
Okay, so I have gone ahead and allowed comments, so if you were to refresh, I believe you would see it.
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah, there is a comment, and I'll say. Great. Great.
Hi, this is a comment.
So we're live. So go ahead and notify the. Oh, now we have 2 people watching. So great. All right, go ahead and notify the Facebooks and the Twitterati and the like, and let's get really started.
Okay. Do you want to handle Facebook, and I will handle Twitter? Or do you want me to do them both?
I think I better have you do them both.
Okay. All right. That's fine. But it kind of means you've got to.
Create the link, I will share it.
Okay. No pressure. Spiel Nights, your channel. And of course, if you are a human who is a Twitter person, we'd love you to subscribe as we build this company, as we figure out what exactly we're doing next and what kind of fun adventures we're going to build and run. We'll get into that in a little bit here, but
all right. So I'm on the Spiel Nights page, and once I see your post, I'll share mine, and then I will be really, because the people will start running. So
they will start running
towards our live stream.
Oh, of course. Run away! Okay, so I have texted you a link, sir, to do such things, and we'll get on with our celebration. How do you see the quantity of viewers at the time? Oh, there it is. 2 watching now. I've got 2 laptops here running, so I'm just trying to do things as one does when they have overextended a little bit their grasp, but that is fine.
Yep, and when I see your new post, I will share it.
Oh, okay, you're waiting for me. Sorry, my bad. Okay, so Facebook, I'm now on the Spiel Nights Facebook page, where I am hitting write a post. Join us for the final hour live stream party. auto-generated picture makes me look silly. Like, doesn't look like a party, but that's nobody has to know that.
It's all good.
Okay, it is now posted on
Alright.
the Facebook.
Hitting refresh. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna hit the share button, and then let Todd. Why don't you get us started with what we first begin talking about?
I'm happy to do that. I'm also quickly adding the same post to Facebook. Or just say Facebook, sorry, I'm in Twitter. Okay, we're live streaming our final hour countdown.
Okay, great. All right. We are now streaming. Yeah, take it away. Take it away, Todd.
Why are you telling me to take it away when I'm trying to post to the Twitters?
You can do it. You can do it. So, yeah, we're here now. We've got about 80 minutes left for the Fight Planet Kickstarter. I think we'll have Draken throw the link in again to the comments, but yeah, we've got 80 minutes left, hoping to reach our funding goal. So Fight Planet, it's a zine, but it's also a new game system. So we bit off a lot of the beef here. So we'll be talking about the Fight Planet game, how it kind of was created, the steps that we progressed through on this Kickstarter, and things that we've learned from the project. And yeah, we'll share one of our playtesting games as well, which is pretty great.
Absolutely.
I think Todd, why don't you get us started on how this thing came into being? It was a pretty wild.
Yeah, there's
a wild series of events.
There is quite a bit of a backstory behind Fight Planet here, and it's basically, so it's approximately 11 years ago in the summer, late spring summer of 2009. There was kind of this ridiculous idea to have a game where you show up and your characters is basically doomed from the get-go, some kind of like a dystopian Mad Max, end of the world. Everybody is fighting to the death, and maybe it's televised, maybe it's not. You don't really know because you are on the planet trying to live, and you've got to get so many points so that you can get off of the planet or something like that. It's evolved and changed quite a bit. There's no advertised way to get off of the planet. It is now the highest reward you can possibly get is a gold star. Like the type you get in first grade, just the little sticker. So yeah. It's that has changed. That's kind of been interesting, but it's there was probably go ahead.
Right, in terms of the lore, there was essentially one of the decisions made in the lore was the idea that we're not quite sure what is going on, because the fighters on Fight Planet, they know how to eat and walk and talk and those various things, but their historical memories, the lives of whatever life they live for Fight Planet, has been totally erased.
Right.
So they're dependent on these, calling them controller logs. They're crashing in their drop pod. They're quickly reading what their life background is, what their mission is, and what they're supposed to care about, and that's the only thing they know. But with that, they progress in their mission. They don't make it; they will die. But in Fight Planet, there's always another fighter, another character waiting to come crashing down in the drop.
Right, and whether they're in some kind of suspended animation or something like that, you don't exactly whatever you did before, whether you were condemned to go to Fight Planet or whether you were bred for it or whatever, it doesn't that aspect isn't huge for the game. All you know is you are there or you are dropping down out of the sky at this very moment to get there. And so it's just been a lot of fun figuring out, okay, what does the population look like? Is it constant? What kind of threats are on Fight Planet? How do you resolve conflicts? And one of the things that I just got texted, go Todd go, don't forget about Reddit. So that's
good on that. But I think maybe to pick off on what you were saying, there's these new threats and challenges, and Fight Planet is sort of like it is, the default terrain is post-apocalyptic wasteland, but
right.
These, what I've been calling set pieces, just terrains just plopped in there that don't really seem like they're supposed to be there, but they provide, you're not restricted to a Mad Max Desolate Wasteland all the time, although you're of course welcome to run around there as much as you like. But you need a random ice-capped mountain, boom. You need a dungeon swamp, we've got one. There are just these pockets of terrain that are suspiciously located around Fight Planet. Really, and random factories, all these other things. Really, the idea of giving you really awesome set pieces to have insane fights. Almost as if maybe, hypothetically, there was a gigantic TV show trying to get as many ratings as possible.
Right.
Right. Yeah, and I, the one thing that's been nice about Fight Planet was almost kind of one of the things that actually, as you stated, it was this idea in 2009, right? That you came with a bunch of friends, and then it kind of gets revitalized in the last year, and there, it was just, Todd just said we're going to do some live streams. Not sure why we're doing them, but we're doing them, and we started batting around Fight Planet, and we decided we were going to make it a thing, and I was assigned content. And I wrote this like batch of rules in 48 hours, and it was kind of insane that I actually worked that hard for something. That because it was I wasn't being paid for it. There was no requirement.
I wouldn't say that it was weird that you worked on something or worked hard on something, but. But give yourself a little bit more credit.
Oh, okay. Well, I got myself into quite the state of flow, if you will, and then the idea, that sort of was like, oh, maybe this could be something fun to do and entertaining and enjoyable. Our jobs are fine, but God, if we could just make games all the time, well, dang, let's do that. That's how I kind of see my point of entry into the Spiel Knights world.
Yeah, and so really, so we started doing a couple of live streams last year. What was it? It was January to mid-March or late March or so, where it was basically like every Friday we were doing a live stream, and some of them were they had better content than others, and some of them had better or less tech issues than others. But then Kickstarter, we found out that they were doing this ZineQuest to make make a small almost indie DIY role-playing product And so that's what really launched us into doing Fight Planet. You know, originally we were just going to do something really, really sketchy. And when I say sketchy, I mean a sketch of a bigger idea. But then, you know, when you came out 48 hours later with this this product, it was, I don't remember how many words it is, like 22,000 or something like that.
It was a couple. It was at least a couple
of this. Yeah, this. I'm getting mocked for saying, "Oh yeah, sketchy product," but yeah, we came out with this this product, or this
a rule system,
this draft, and it was not garbage. No, it was good.
Not,
it was
not terrible.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, not terrible. It was definitely had a lot of interesting nuggets, you know, that were pulled from these rambling conversations, or just like these weird ideas and concepts that had you know, fermented for 10 years in the back of, you know, my brain, and a couple other people's brains who were in those initial chats.
Yeah. And I said, yeah, right. And I essentially, you know, because I was never a part of these conversations of 10 years. So I basically kind of heard what everybody said, like, you know, we're gonna have a score, we're gonna have a trait for butts and fists. I'm like, okay, let's figure out how that works. And then, you know, they're gonna, you know, your character will die instantly. I'm like, okay, that's an unusual element for a role-playing game. Your character is just gone. So I basically was like, okay, how is this going to work? And without really understanding the term at the time, I ultimately ended up creating a roguelike, which became kind of one of the main centerpieces of this. A roguelike, which I've come to better understand now, is essentially a character that does not live for very long,
right?
And is defeated, but yet another one will emerge in its place to try again, maybe a little more powerful than the last one, or maybe with just lessons learned. So yeah, I've taken a look at Rogue Legacy and Rogue, obviously, and some of those other games.
Yeah, and just like the idea that, okay, death for a character is permanent, and it's a big deal to that specific character, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. You know, it's just another drop pod. Which arm is which? Okay, another drop pod just comes down, and okay, you're back in the game. You don't have, you know, exactly the same stuff that you did before, but you don't have to be afraid of it.
Right. This is, I think this is maybe one of, we really went after one of the drawbacks that is in some of these epic role-playing systems where you play your character, but it creates, you know, unless you have really that super special group that can understand and tolerate character death, there's this pressure not to actually kill the character, like put them in danger, but don't ever really kill them.
Right.
Fight Planet just erases that entirely. In Fight Planet, there's a real chance, not just a real chance, and a real likelihood of death. And we've, you know, just the way the health mechanic ended up being designed, it is, you know, health doesn't come back easily. You lose it, and then you're gone. But it's not the end, because another drop pod will be coming crashing down to save the day.
Right, or not necessarily save the day, but at least give you another chance.
Another chance, and I think, you know what? I think I want to. I kind of want to talk about the first game. Now we obviously have been working and tweaking the rules, but essentially we once the Kickstarter was live and we had our sample rules up and ready to go, which you can see on the live streaming page, we had our very first game, and it was one that was written on the fly, but it ultimately worked out. And essentially, you just started off. It was 3 characters. They come crashing in on drop pods. They've read a mission that they have to slay the desert yeti with the hammer of destiny, and they crash, and they have to they first of all have to figure out what the hammer of destiny is,
right?
Which apparently involved getting into a fight with the owner of a hot springs
or hot tubs, I believe it was.
Oh yes, hot tubs in the post-apocalyptic wasteland. Got that vanquished, and they eventually get a clue. They have to go to this ice mountain that is just there, and they have to go defeat a dragon in order to get the mallet or the hammer of destiny to slay the desert yeti. And they came across and they had acquired a couple of tools, but they didn't have a lot. And they came across a dragon, because why not? And they get into this fight with a dragon, but they're fighting the dragon with essentially some winter clothes and a slingshot.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, they actually get a good hit in there, but the dragon is very strong.
It's almost like it's a dragon or something.
Almost like it's a dragon, and the dragon ultimately gets a few kicks in, and it flaps its wings really hard and blows them out the mountain. And we lost our very first warrior, Sly Valor, but it wasn't a tragedy. They just didn't make it, and then you were able to pick up some dice, and in 2 rolls you will have another character, and they'll come crashing down in the next drop pod. And it really it gave something that I didn't even quite conceive of when I was designing the rule. It actually, by having the fights, the what are called the show matches, by having them be so difficult, what ends up happening is it creates this large obstacle where you went after them with the slingshot and the furs. You couldn't beat him, so you're going to have to go out and find the next weapon or the next gear, or you're going to have to plan the attack on the mountain a little better.
Right.
So do that, and when you win, right, like the thrill and the rush of getting that victory is what really makes Fight Planet fun. So it's a sense, it's like a tension of, because character death is so real and has such a volatility to it, but it ended up in the playtesting not being I kill him, I come back, I kill him. It didn't end up being that. It's I went after him, I lost my character, and then you prepare to do it again, but better and smarter, and that ended up making for a really fun game. So that was a really interesting mechanic about it, and so yeah, we'll admit it was, we put an ambitious Kickstarter project out here, because a typical zine is you start with a typical zine, you just kind of have a little idea and then print, and it's got some drawings, it gives you a few ideas. We kind of went big, and we invented a whole new what would a roguelike RPG gaming system look like. And so and we ended up creating one, and we wanted the art, and we wanted the big projects, and so and that the Kickstarter was, we had a deadline, and it was full steam ahead.
Absolutely. And
And so,
sorry
yeah, go
to
ahead.
interrupt you, but it looks like Morta has just joined us here,
Excellent.
and is presumably able to talk. I don't know, but okay, carry on.
Yeah, yeah, Morta. Once you're able to chat, feel free to jump in, and we'll make it happen. So that is really what the idea of Fight Planet is about. I guess we can, the kind of rules that we have. The rules are pretty straightforward. In a sense, you roll your name. Very important. We had a lot of fun generating the random name generator table, and have plans to create more random name generator. In fact, on SpielKnights.com, and it may be disabled right now, but it'll be coming back. There is a random name generator. One of the things we want to do is, we have plans to create a link trove, like where are some good gaming resources that are on one spot and where you can go and do those things. That's in development. Yeah, the character name generator 2000 right there is generate a name, and actually what's really fun right now is you generate a name, and then that name is available for everybody, and then you can come back to it. And what we're really hoping to do is to eventually get to the point where you can generate a name randomly, but then when you visit SpielKnights.com later, you can go back and see what was that name I generated, right? Because you used some throwaway character 3 games ago, but then they ended up being important, so you have to go back and take a look at it. And we're going to try to make that be an easy, pretty streamless process.
So, is there any characters that are not throwaway?
Not in Fight Planet.
That's right. In Fight Planet, everybody's pretty disposable. I will say, though, that I think one of the things I had kind of thought about was, how do people not totally die in Fight? And I imagine that there must be some group of gruffy characters who have forsaken their missions, and they want to do something silly like live out their lives. And those particular people are probably pretty good fighters, because random people try to fight them all the time. And maybe they've gathered some guards, or they've gathered some defensive resources. So I would say some of those, or alternatively, they offer products that are so impressive, you kind of lose them if you killed them. So I would say that some of those town merchants or what have you would be pretty close to semi-permanent characters on Fight Planet. And I would say, of course, some of the outstanding villains who are very difficult to kill would kind of have a thing on there. The kind of idea on Fight Planet is that it is like a constantly changing television show, maybe, and there's always something new going on. But the idea of repeat characters is something that's really interesting, and how that would go about would be pretty interesting indeed.
Yeah, and there's one thing. I mean, we shouldn't really spend too much time talking about it because it's like impossibly far away. But then one of the stretch goals was like about telling the stories of the people on Fight Planets, whether they dropped in a drop pod and then just became some sort of a mob boss or something like that, or just too strong, got a posse and changed the world of Fight Planet. So like capturing what does it look like when we're playing a collective game. But that's that is an impossible. Not impossible.
Don't say it's impossible. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. We've got 51 whole minutes, okay?
That's true.
Right.
And we did add, just for you, one additional level of reward tiers, which anybody can do it. But we've added it just for you.
Oh, which reward tier is that? I must have missed it.
It's brand new. It's only like half an hour old.
Yeah. Yeah, the brand new reward tier is pledge $2,500 or more. The drop pod full of cash. But thanks for sending us a drop pod full of cash. We'll make sure we dedicate Fight Planet to you.
Oh, that is amazing.
I'll give you a printed copy of the zine, too.
I feel like I should check with my family before I do that.
Yeah.
I may be sleeping on the couch for the next few months.
That is true. We've got 4 viewers, so it could be any of you 4 viewers. We're
That's right.
happy to take your drop pod full of cash.
Yeah, we are happy to take your drop pod full of cash. But really, anything you can throw in during this last hour of this ZineQuest, you can do. It is tough to put yourself out there, but brashness is, or what do you call it? Embarrassment is not in Todd's vocabulary. So, we just moved full speed ahead, and Todd's been just so super encouraging to get this done, and it's been a really exciting process. And I have to say, there's nothing like a deadline to get things going. Essentially, because Todd and I, we don't live in the same state, and it's impressive. You just take a few Google Docs, you fill them out, and it's really exciting how we got this is, as crazy as this deadline and this ambition was, we got a full legitimate product. We've got a video. By the way, please watch the video. It is hilarious. Please, Todd, preserve that video for all of mortality. Don't let that video go away. But the story part, the content that was written and rewritten again and again. It really is an art project, and I'm super happy with what we did, and I thought it was a really to be honest, I thought it was a really good use of our time, because we got to here's how we you can work together under time pressure, you can produce a legitimate product, and it really taught me something, because we've written a lot of Fight Planet rules. What you see, the fact that we were able to get that sample rules into 4 pages, that taught you a lot of what's the essential information for the game, and of course, should you fund Fight Planet, you will get a zine with the complete rule set, which we've it's been substantially written. I think one of the things that was really fun about Fight Planet is, going back to what we were saying, you can create a character in roles. You roll the name, do a random name generator, and then you roll, one set of 6-sided dice 4 times, and you have your stats. And it's essentially it's like a D12 system, and your kind of base difficulty is 10, kind of maybe goes up to 15, and that is how you do most of the actions in the game. But another thing, as I was talking to Morta, we were talking earlier about one of the things that Fight Planet addressed, in other role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons, GURPS, whatever, there's this thing where people get really attached to their character, and then there's a pressure not to just randomly murder the character, which we don't have a problem on Fight Planet.
Right, I thought that's a feature, not a bug.
Right,
that's right.
That is a feature, not a bug.
It really counteracts that kind of mentality. I think another innovation that we've tried to introduce into the Fight Planet system is the idea of team combat. So with that, because in your standard role-playing game, there's an initiative and an order. One person does their one cool action, hooray. Then another person goes and does their one cool action, hooray. So which is fun for the person in the moment, but then everybody else has to kind of wait around.
Right, now, you have to be friendly and wait your turn. And
yeah, be friendly and wait your turn, right. And I'm not saying I'm totally opposed to that because we're literally running a game where we do that right now. But Fight Planet sort of turns that idea on its head and is, because we throw these bosses at them that literally cannot be killed by themselves. And what you have to do is you have to work together to think of creative attacks that will essentially be like a combo attack, and then you start adding your rolls together. Hopefully then rolling high enough to hit the impossible armor ratings. So I think, just to describe in the first game of Fight Planet, the first official game of Fight Planet that was played, the fighters, they the dragon is flying in the air and it's impossible, and they've got a slingshot. So what do? Two of them pick a fighter up and throw him into the air, and as he's thrown into the air, he's taken his slingshot with a large rock and just throwing it into his face. And that wasn't one person doing one thing, that was them gathering together, figuring up a team attack and going for it. Todd, I know you ran at least one other game of Fight Planet. Can you describe a combo attack that those players came up with?
Well, so I just want to touch on the combo attack idea. Part of the fun of a game like Dungeons and Dragons is coming up with these weird and ridiculous schemes, but that's also kind of the problem, because you start to go on every single tangent in every single possible way. Okay, well, what if he does this? Then are we going to cut off the alley? And what if Strahd turns to mist here? And what? There's so many things that you're trying to plan for, and you're seeding the dungeon master or whatever with these ideas. So the dungeon master is well, he does this, or however it plays out.
Right.
But with Fight Planet, it's okay, we're gonna, the two of us are gonna use this score and pick you up, and you're gonna launch you up in the air. You're gonna use your guns, blast them out of the air, and it's not a whole lot of. You come up with a crazy plan, but then you do it immediately, rather than something that is just keeps evolving and changing until the situation does. It's right. Do or die, and then die anyways, because
yes. Do or die and die anyway. So go ahead.
I was going to say, this is the sort of thing that I think makes the White Wolf games so magnificent, is the ability to pull off crazy stuff and flatly do cool shit and have it work out.
Right.
And that being a huge draw to Fight Planet is, it's not going to be where the dice gets fudged or the DM lets it happen. You're probably going to die 90% of the time.
Right.
Probably 99.9% of the time. I'm going to go in, there's Steve on top of his nuke with his army, and I'm going to go set off the nuke. And you go in and you get found and you get beaten up and you're dead. But that 1% of that time, the one person who sets off the nuke, that's the person who's going to be remembered, and that's the session that's going to be remembered.
That's right. That's right. And I think one of the things that we kind of, in the playtesting that we found really fun, we had covered it a little bit earlier, is the idea that you are going to go out and you're going to kill, you got to kill this dragon to get the Mallet of Destiny, and you fail because you didn't have the right equipment or you didn't have enough tactics, but you learn what to do, and then you go at it again trying something new, and when you succeed, it's player high, because you had to have 3 fallen warriors to do it, but then you pulled it off. and it ends up being a really gratifying thing. Yeah, so Todd, I just wanted to ask, because I know you ran a couple of other playtesting games. Were there any cool combo attacks that they were able to come up with?
Well, okay, so I ran one game, and then actually a small child ran another game.
Oh my gosh!
And so the first one that I was running, I basically they showed up, and it was like, okay, do you want to go into these creepy woods and chase that weird horse-like thing and whatever is riding it, or do you want to go the other way into this town? And they decided to go into this town, and they found a bakery shop, and basically it was like each kid wanted to steal something different from the bakery. So it was like, okay, I'm taking the tarts, and I'm taking these cupcakes, and I don't remember, somebody was going after muffins and cookies. So it was it was four kids, and half of them had no idea what a tabletop role-playing game was. They were just excited that that they were playing make-believe and could steal sweets. So
interesting direction for Fight Planet.
Yeah, definitely. But then, I mean, they distracted the shop owner. The shop owner chased half of them out the store while the other two looted the place, and then they all, started getting in this where they escaped, made it to the alley where they started getting chased by these like guards or Wild West sheriff guys or something, something like that, and a lot of uppercuts, and eventually one of the three was punched up into the atmosphere. One of the three guards. Another one got punched out and blew up into a whole bunch of sparkles and confetti. And let's see. And then what happened to the one of the players, one of the fighters, ended up getting blown up, and it was for kids, so it was in confetti as well.
Oh, in confetti. Oh, nice. Oh, that's good.
This is the weirdest adaptation I've ever heard of a Fight Planet. Please continue. This is breaking my brain.
Let's see, and then what happened? Oh, then the one who blew up was like slow in putting together a new character. Like, I know that sounds weird because it's literally 2 throws of dice, but
that's right. Yeah, I think you told me about that, and the importance of having a character sheet with the names there. Like, you got to have a roster just ready to go.
Yeah, or even, I mean, if it's like a character sheet that is basically dry erase, and okay, this one's gone, throw in a new one like stupidly quick, and maybe write your write the epilogue to the previous character on the controller's log or something like that. Like big.
So, yeah, that's actually one of our stretch goals. Is designing this character sheet / log, so you essentially have maybe a couple of base information at the top, like your rad dads and your awesome points, but then you have like name, stats, how they died, and then you have the next one where you repeat that information, and you essentially build this library of deceased characters and the glorious life they live. It was a really fun project to give and to present. And I guess a couple of things. Todd, we can go on to the next big idea Spiel Nights has, or we can talk about some other things that you have on your to-do discussion agenda. What should we tackle next?
Well, so I mean, I guess I do have two ideas of like, okay, where is Fight Planet going to go? Assuming nobody hits the drop pod full of cash button, which
and please feel free to hit the drop.
I've got 100% faith that somebody's going to hit it. But let's see, what do we got? So we've got 37 backers. Thank you to each one of you, and about $1,000 out of the $3,500 goal right now, and there's still time. You got 35 minutes to get your pledges in, or multiply your pledge by a bajillion.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I just want to talk about a couple different things for the future of Fight Planet, assuming nobody hits the buttons and assuming we don't get retweeted by who did you say? Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel will be retweeting us within the next 20 minutes.
We're still waiting for his pledge, by the way. We'll let you know when that happens. We'll get confetti. But yeah,
go and talk about our future project, including, I guess, what might be. I mean, we did a little cart before the horse here, but we learned a lot.
Absolutely.
And we're like already, we hope Kickstarter does ZineQuest again, because we're ready for the next thing.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about that? I'm just excited to talk. Can we talk about it?
Okay. Well, so
go on.
Let me talk a couple things about Fight Planet before we start jumping forward here. But one of the things is so our goal is a little bit higher because we are trying to pledge, or we're trying to pay a professional artist to get professional layout done, which is a skill set that we don't particularly have. We can make great content, but we really want to pair it with beautiful art and have a professional product. And thank you for the person who just pledged. Really appreciate that. I saw the numbers rolling up. But two other things that we're talking about. So Jim mentioned on SpielNights.com we've got the name generator, and I'd certainly like to make some tools like that for Fight Planet. Automatically make a fighter, and then hit this button here to dispose of the fighter, and type in their epitaph or whatever it is, and just have some tools that when you log in you can do that. And what was the other? Well, there's a couple other digital tools for Fight Planet and for role playing in general that we're kind of coming up with. But do you want to go ahead and talk about?
I think I want to. Marta, I think one of the comments that we got, which I sort of sniffed my nose at, but then I've come to acknowledge was a little on point, which was, are you guys making a zine or a game? What's going on here? And we're doing both because we're Spiel Knights and we go big. But we did start thinking about what's the kind of idea for a zine that could be doable just as a zine on its own, with a very low price point. And I think this was Todd's idea, but essentially Todd is a wood turner. And
let me go grab some props to show in the video. You just
please
keep.
Yes, I want to hear more about the wood turning.
Yeah, so Todd is a wood turner, so he'll take your blocks of wood and he'll turn them into wands that are awesome. And he's been able to sell them because they look great. So, we were looking at some of the other scenes, and the ones that really get funded have a straightforward idea. And the ZineQuest, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a quest, but it is of that in mind, and it's essentially called wand stories, or wandering wands or wand tales. Essentially, it would would be a zine about magic wands. So what we would do is we would show a magic wand, and it would be a real magic wand. And, well, you know what I mean when I say a real magic wand. It would be a wand that Todd here has actually. And what you would do is the zine would describe it. It essentially serves as an inspiration tool. So there wouldn't be stats attached to the wand. You would see a picture of the wand. We would tell you about how it was made, its story, and what its powers are. And then what you would do is that wand would serve as inspiration. It could be a magic item in your next role-playing game. It could be inspiration for your fantasy novel that you want to write. And in terms of Kickstarter, there would be a low entry point where you could just back the zine. But if you wanted to throw in like $40, not only would you get the zine, we would send you a wand that Todd would make using his wood turning skills.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so so here's this magic wand. Let's see if I can get it to it justice in the picture, but it's
please show us one of these wands.
This is made out of, actually let me bigify my webcam view.
But it looks great.
Let's see, and that is under sidebar webcam. Oh, I don't want to. Oh, I see. Oops, that's not what I want.
But so we're really, and what's really great is we've got a year to get this done. But essentially, one of the things that we're really hoping to do is, so we're going to have this actual wand, and then we'll take a picture of the wand, and then we can put a Photoshop layer on it, so it gets this like historical drawing-like texture, which that immediately solves the paying an artist problem. So there's a little inside baseball right there for our Fight Planet live stream.
So let me interview you for the next few minutes, since we're running to the talk. So all of this seems like a labor of love. Is there any point in any of this where you actually see this as, if it takes off, becoming more full-time for both of you?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
I would say so you're definitely right. Definitely, labor love, like just doing things that are role-playing games. But to be perfectly honest, if this is something that ends up drawing a real audience that gets really invested, and if they can back their support, if they back us on Kickstarter, if they subscribe to our channel, and if real revenue starts being generated, then I'm definitely, this could ultimately become a full-time aspect. We are actually a real business. We've got an official business account. We're registered with the Secretary of State. So we've actually got some of the basics already in to make this a full-time gig. But I think the fact that the way we're starting out now is we're really we're not trying to make a quick buck here, right? We're trying to do something that is fun and to create fun products that people can enjoy.
And I could definitely see that. You would not be... I will say, if you're looking to make a quick buck, role-playing games probably are not your way to that.
Not be the way.
Not be the way to go. Maybe the next blockchain investing opportunity.
I was going to say, you got to put some AI on the blockchain.
AI on the blockchain.
Yeah, maybe that's what our next Kickstarter will be. It'll just be AI on the blockchain, the zine.
So I want to do two parts. One, I want to talk a bit about what you've learned through this process, and then the second place I want to go to is sort of not just what your next steps are, but how you would have changed what you've done. So first, let's talk about what you have learned on the process. So you've done the Kickstarter. It's going. Yeah. You've gotten another backer. Thank you very much.
Great.
It was definitely different than the other zines out there in that list. Not
Right.
all of them, but quite a few of them. Sort of, what have you learned in the process of going through ZineQuest?
Yeah, absolutely. I can start, Todd, if you want.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. I think number one is adjust your funding goal, right? Now of course we're happy to get that drop pod full of cash. Come, bring it on.
Oh, that's
in.
right. There is a new level. Drop pod full of cash.
But we are probably the most expensive zine on ZineQuest 2. We might actually be the most expensive one.
We're in the. Most of them are $500 to $850 level.
Yeah. So I think the top lesson is to adjust that goal. I think the second lesson is think about something that fits in with ZineQuest, and I think we've already taken that lesson to heart with Juan stories, where you're going to take a simple concept and have it be open and shareable, and like, this is a neat product that I can get, and I know exactly what it's doing, so we're not introducing too many layers of complexity. I think those would be two of the major lessons. How about you?
Yeah, and so I mean, I don't know if it's the adjust or like ask for no money to make the product, because we
need money to make this.
Yeah, and it's I mean, there's definitely a need to get the art to do the professional thing. The problem, I think, before was just expecting, Kickstarter is just this magical thing where you put something in and then you push a button and then like poof, money shoots out of it and you don't have to worry about anything. Which, some of the big Kickstarter campaigns, that's certainly what it looks like. What happened.
Yeah.
But the thing that they did that we certainly did not do is they spent a whole bunch of time building an audience, building trust. People knew who they were, and that was, I think that was our biggest mistake.
Well, I mean, it's hard to call it a mistake. We just did it in reverse order, right? We created the product first, and then we're going to build the audience.
Right.
But I totally agree. I think one of the things, if Wandering Wands or Wand Tales is going to be a success over the next year, it really means building, creating the podcast, right? Improving the social media outreach, probably getting a Twitter stream started, right? Doing those things, getting people signed up on the email list, right? Getting that thing rolling is totally a part. And then once we of what we do, and having that audience is definitely essential to having a Kickstarter be a success. Absolutely.
Right.
So I think this comes down to that product life cycle. And from my world, it's very akin to the startup community, right?
Yeah.
So I come from the tech industry, as unsurprising to almost everybody watching.
Wait.
Somebody gonna guess. People talking about role-playing games on a Friday night, and some tech industry people are involved.
That's weird.
Yeah. It's crazy the coincidences we have. So where does marketing come into this? Because I think some of this is building trust, building an audience, but you do need a product for that. But you can generate support without organically building it if, for example, you convince, say, Vin Diesel to retweet you.
Right. Speaking of which, somebody want to send him a tweet?
I'll let you, the Twitter expert, do that.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely. And I think that was one of the, I have to say, we, just like probably every startup that starts a Kickstarter campaign, we essentially got bombarded by companies saying, we'll market it for you. just send us a little money, and we'll make sure this reaches a bunch of people. And that, marketing has to be done in a smarter way than just, we're a startup. We don't have like oodles of cash to just throw around on advertising. And we are going to have to come up with smarter ways to do marketing that isn't like a direct advertisement method.
So I'm not here to plug startup methodologies.
But please.
But things that you can do outside of market research, and I'll leave you to look up things like lean startups on your own time for those that are interested. But the point I want to make out of this is you can get to certain saturations by hitting the right communities and getting influencers in those communities to actually like and try out and recommend your product. So in this case, I'd be looking at a lot of tabletop communities, RPG communities. The thing I think Fight Planet has going for it, and is already evidenced by the fact that you have made 1,000 without doing this, and lots of press amongst the different communities I've seen it show up in, is that you have a unique product people will be interested in. They just don't know about it.
They just don't know. I think you're totally right about finding and targeting those influencers is going to be really important.
And I think,
which is why I'm writing it down on the back of this envelope right now. So
That is the right way to do it. That's as startup as it gets.
Yeah, and I mean, really, and I should have known better. I should have, known. Okay, reach out to these. Spending hours and hours and hours making this product is great, good for you. But if you don't spend 5 times the hours telling people about it and promoting it and just getting out there and making these connections, getting influencers and getting it into people's hands, seeing how, if it's good, if it's garbage or whatever, and just adjusting, making it better, then I don't know. I mean, I am glad that Jim talked me down from our original Kickstarter goal was like twice this amount. I'm happy.
I mean, you can make those. I think you can make those. And we've moved off from the interview, so I'm going to move us back to the interview. But I think even something as simple as getting this in like a role-playing store and running a game and random people seeing, like, what's that? Why are people talking about punching each other in the face and ripping off someone's mohawk? Like, those sorts of things can help too. I guess the idea is you do probably want to grow this as grassroots. You don't want to just spend money and have it blasted over bots on Twitter.
Totally.
But I feel like there is a path forward, and I hope for Fight Planet, even if this doesn't get funded and that drop pot of cash doesn't go in the next, 17 minutes or
17
whatever.
Minutes. Hit the button, everybody.
That there's I think a real market for Fight Planet, in the sense that if I was, say, someone who had venture capital, which I'm going to say I'm not, judging by the fact I am on YouTube on Friday, I would put something behind it. Like, I feel like there is really a wonderful core concept here, and a product that does have a niche market in the role.
Yeah.
So back to the interview, and this is the part that I think everybody wants to know. On the off chance Vin Diesel doesn't retweet us, and in the off chance that no one hits that drop pod full of cash, where does Fight Planet land?
Yeah. That is a good question. And as we talked about earlier with playtesting, like it is actually it's a good product. It's the name.
You're not supposed to laugh when you say that.
It's good. No, it
is fun.
It is good. It was fun, and I was very happy with it. So Fight Planet, while it's not obviously Vin Diesel's going to come through for us.
Right.
But
even if it doesn't appear in zine form, we're not getting rid of this. I think it's gonna prevail in some. I mean, we're going to be showing up at MissCon this Memorial Day. I'm not sure if I'll bring Fight Planet to that. We might do some Dungeons and Dragons instead. I'm not positive, but I think we have this core rule set that is fun, and I think it probably needs to at least be a feature on our website and I don't know. What I'm saying is I'm definitely not ready to give up on Fight Planet.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean building more tools for it, building more of an audience for it, and whether Jim and I have to actually pay the artist and not pay the artist, I guess, to have more pictures and more beautiful art up front. That's certainly a thing we can do if if we have to. So Fight Planet isn't going to go anywhere, totally disappear. Another thing with it is, so it's kind of opened up a couple doors. I've had some discussions with people since starting it, and one of them, it's actually a local person who is opening up a B&B and D&D, so you can come to his house, come to his house. He's got like this whole huge section set up with like a Dungeons and Dragons theme, with private bunk rooms, and then he will run whatever games for you. But he also, like, professionally, he does design and layout, and so and he's happy to help get stuff together, so that there's an avenue to get things done and moving for us. We wouldn't necessarily have to cough up a couple grand. Oops.
I would say the con circuit's a good place to pitch because people are there to try stuff, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think one of the things we've been talking about doing this as a company, and also an excuse to goof off, is like go to different cons, bringing the Spiel Knights name, and because we're premiering at MissCon, but there are hundreds of other cons out there, and being able to go there as a business expense and say, here's what we've got, here are the products that we have, I think is a fantastic thing to get an audience built. I've got a random story. Actually, I was at PAX Unplugged, and we were with Travis Gray was doing a panel, and he is the creator of Ascension, and he essentially, Ascension now is a ubiquitous card collecting game that's incredibly popular, has a bunch of expansions. The way he started Ascension is he had a roommate who drew good art. He put some cards together, and then he guerrilla marketed it, where he just ran around a bunch of people in Gen Con and said, hey, play this game. And it was a good product, and it exploded from there. And so that was definitely an inspiring thing of what we can do. I think, if anything, Fight Planet did teach us that we can actually make something. And since we've got that's the hard part, and then it's really about, as you said, working with marketing and the influencers and letting people know what we've done. And this is a little off topic, but I think Spiel Knights, it's not just about things Jim and Todd come up with. We're really hoping in the long term to be almost like the book agent of role-playing games, where other people who have awesome ideas come to us with their campaign setting or their really cool role-playing idea, and we help them make it better. And essentially we find good talent and bring it out there. And we start our reputation by building our audience, getting our own products out there, and that's just the fun of building a business of things that are that you like and are really entertaining.
So I think that's fairly comprehensive. I'm glad Fight Planet is not going anywhere if Vin Diesel doesn't come through for us, but
yeah,
I have hope too.
If anybody has them, the 4 people watching, if you have Vin Diesel in your cell phone, give them a text and be like, "Yo, you gonna pull through or not?"
Well, go on.
Yeah, sorry for cutting you off there.
No. I think it's important if Vin Diesel doesn't text us, we're in trouble.
We can blame it on Vin Diesel. Yeah, I mean, just ignore. Oh, there's a scrawny white guy in the webcam video that's. I'm Vin Diesel. I can clearly take him.
But go ahead, Maury. You had another question.
So you have another Zine coming out that's going to involve wands, which I think using Kickstarter funding is a good idea. Are you thinking of doing anything more traditional role playing? Anything that's either tabletop or even like a board game?
We actually had a really, we've started having weekly meetings now, and oh God, I would love to design a Spiel Knights
board game is in the future, but it might be a ways in the future.
But would still love it. But we had this really great meeting where we talked about we were talking about wands, and then we were like, we can make a whole book of magic items, and they wouldn't be system specific. They would be ideas and inspiration for your own role-playing games or for your own stories. And I think what's interesting is system agnostic magic items that doesn't even show up in a Google result. And that just was a really exciting niche of fun things that could be explored. And I, of course, looking at the live stream, I can't help but I think, Todd, you need to talk a little bit more about these wands.
Yeah, tell us about your wands.
Oh, you want to know about the wands? Okay, well, I mean, I just started making them a while ago when I was, doing wood turning, specifically actually for my kids, so that they could for funsies. But then it turns out they're a lot of fun to make, and so I've kept making them, and then just finding different ways to decorate or embellish them. And it's a lot of fun. I guess I don't have a good example of a burnt one. I mean, this one, it has some scorching here and some on the end, but it's really fun when you're making it and you're just thinking about, oh, okay, this wand, clearly was made by the elves and was lost for so many years, or this burnt one, what kind of dark magic went blasting through this, and what kind of harm or good, or what is the history of this wand. And that's a lot of fun. It's like this one here, you can't really see too well in the live stream, but this is an oak wand that's got quite a bit of a wavy sculpted pattern to it, and then a silver leaf buffing compound. So it's like, okay, where did this wand come from? What type of race would, or who would be using it or making it? Is it from the elves? Is it somewhere else? Who knows? But I don't know.
Yeah, so wand stories is about showing you that wand, writing some content about where it is, what it can do, and then you throw us a little bit for the zine, but throw us a little more. We'll just give you one of the wands, and I think that would be a great way to support both the low level and high level backers.
Yeah.
For of course. So I think maybe to answer your question, I think system agnostic, like magic items and spells and ideas, is something that's not really a fleshed out market yet, and that's something we want to work on.
It does exist. There are some products. Actually, there's one that's like a book of just fantasy fungus. A whole bunch of different mushroom. Like each one gets its own page. It talks about it and its uses, and it's hundreds of pages long, and they're all well done for fungus. Just a weird thing. And you know how like when a group of adventurers goes into like a library or anywhere, they're like, oh, what kind of books do I see? And the DM always has to like pull these things out of thin air. They can put, oh, you find this one here on fungus of the Feywild or whatever it might be.
I'm getting some serious Skyrim book vibes from this.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
So, because I also like being self-referential and we're on a live stream, could you talk more about this podcast you're planning on starting? What's it going to involve? What's the plan?
I would like to talk about the podcast, although we're at 5 minutes left on the Fight Planet Kickstarter.
Let's talk about the podcast because I'm excited about it. Why don't you start off first, Todd, and then I'll pick up.
Okay, I will start off by saying we've got 5 minutes left on the Kickstarter. We would love it if you would tell Vin Diesel to use the drop pod full of cash button. If you don't have him in your personal contacts, you can always hit the drop pod full of cash yourself. But I don't know. It's a lot of fun. So you want to talk about podcasts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we want to start a Spiel Nights podcast, and I essentially it's going to be about. Obviously, it'll have all the Spiel Nights info you'd ever want. But, of course, we'd be talking about new products and things. But some of the content, some of the things we want to do is we're going to have adventure hooks. So we're going to produce a piece that's going to give, people, if they're like just out of ideas for their Dungeons and Dragons session, we're going to give them an inspiration of a thing that they can do for a game session, a cool idea that they can take with them. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about, like role-playing excerpts. So we are recording a Dungeons and Dragons campaign right now, and we'll like take segments from that and show, oh, this was a good example of role-playing where everybody interacted together, or an interesting way of how combat played out, or a crucial character decision. So it will be sort of about examining, tabletop role-playing in real time, giving people inspiration for their next tabletop game, and finding people out there like the D&D B&B guy, or these dungeon masters who actually do this for a living, or the guys who run D&D in a castle, which is where you go to a castle in medieval England and play Dungeons and Dragons for a couple days. Just finding those people and giving them a platform. Todd, you can go now, but that's exciting stuff we want to do.
So 2 minutes left. Send the drop pod full of cash to the Fight Planet Kickstarter, ZineQuest. But so we've got we've got a document full of adventure ideas that that we could run. Some of them are fleshed out, and there's documents behind them of here is a small setting, the town of Garrigill, where there are these three things that your characters might go off and do three, pre-planned adventures, I guess, ready for one shots or for mini campaigns between big campaigns, or just any point. We'd like to get those. Oh my God, the countdown just went to seconds. Okay.
Right, or here's an explanation of like the hero's journey, right, and how you can integrate that into your campaign.
Yeah, and so there's some really good resources, and we just really want to capture them. And it doesn't matter if we are the ones who came up with them. If we can share, here is what Sly Flourish says. ... Oh God, we're at 90 seconds left. I can't take the suspense.
Maybe we should stop the interview for a minute and just enjoy how the ticker is going down and wait for that drop pot of cash to fall from the sky, much like a person on Fight Planet.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
the exciting moment. But yeah, we're really excited to do a podcast and to get it on Stitcher and iTunes and all of those things, because we're going to bring out definite role playing ideas.
60 seconds left.
We're going to bring Twitter. We're going to get on Twitter. One of the things that I personally want to do is how can you make cool maps if you're not an artist? So I want to take people on a journey, because I am not a professional artist, but I really want to make cool, fun maps for games. And I think that's something to explore on the podcast. It might be something to explore on our YouTube and Twitch channels. So we're really excited to bring a lot
ask me about maps in like a couple of minutes. Because I've got stuff to say on it, but 15 seconds left. 15 seconds left
all
for
right.
the
Great.
Ooh, 10.
All right. Big countdown.
5, 4. Okay, quick! Somebody hit pledge.
Here it comes! Boom!
All right.
Well, I mean, thank you so much to the 38 backers who backed us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I think it's actually really exciting that we broke 4 digits. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really humbling. And humbling in both senses of it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be really great. And thank you so much. Todd, let's hear what you have to say about maps before we sign out.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, I've been watching a couple of map making channels on YouTube recently, and reading articles. Specifically, I guess I've got it open. Anyways, it's too far. I've got a different computer. Blah blah blah. I'm losing brain power.
Keep talking.
Okay, so specifically, like the isometric maps, it's not a top-down view, and it's not a true 3D world, but it fakes it pretty well. And so, like, the elements, it's like from this specific perspective, you can do layered maps in a pretty interesting way. And the guy was drawing it out on this, isometric grid paper, so on a whole bunch of little diamonds, as he mapped out his corridors and put his stairs in, and try to show the different levels and put in the little flourishes and that sort of pieces. And in one spot, he drew it out as a flat top-down view. Then he brought it into Photoshop, put it on this grid, made some adjustments, and dropped it down so that like the levels were at a different level, I guess physically down, and then he went in and started drawing over the top of it to make it this mapped out underground cavern with the waterfall and that sort of thing. All of this to say that I got super jacked up about it and super excited, but it seemed like a lot of work. So I started. So instead of spending 2 hours doing that, I spent like 9 hours or so writing software to
oh my gosh! Really?
And so basically,
oh my gosh!
I can talk to you more about this later, but basically you can doodle a map or a series of caverns at different levels on a flat top-down one, and then it will convert it to this isometric view where it'll have them and drop them down to the appropriate amounts. You would still need to go in, at least from where it's at now, and connect the rooms together and draw the little stairs or the little rope ladder or waterfall or whatever. But it would lay out everything so that you could get to that step a lot quicker. And I've kind of been
great. That's awesome.
I've kind of been obsessed with it over the last 2 days.
Oh my gosh, that's really exciting. That's really cool. I'm excited to hear more about that.
I'm excited to see a YouTube video about it too.
Yeah. I think that's totally motivating me to have that be our, really get on that and have that be our next big project. So.
Well, I mean, we've got this adventures treasure trove of the links and resources that
also in development. Yep.
That we've now that this is over, and we don't have to spend the next 2 months working on Fight Planet.
That's right. We have a bountiful amount of time now. So awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for everybody who listened, for everybody who backed the project. Who else should we thank, Todd?
Well, really, I mean, thank you to everybody who was ever involved in Spiel Nights, the board game club. That's another discussion. But thank you to everybody who was involved in talking about Fight Planet, whether it was the original 11 years ago version or the couple smaller iterations along the way, all the way up until this final, Fight Planet piece that we've got now. Really appreciate it, and really appreciate everybody who backed the Kickstarter or who shared it, or told their friends. I really appreciate all of you who did that.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
And of course, we have a YouTube. You're watching it right now, so appreciate any subscriptions there as we get more content coming out.
All right. Well, I think we can sign off at this point, right?
All right. Peace out, everybody.